My childhood was filled with awesome toys, from board games to Lego sets, even video games, but action figures for a long period of my life were the highlight of countless nights for me and my friends. So many figures, so many choices, but of course, some stand out more than others. So let's discuss the 10 figures that defined my childhood, because I'm pretty sure that a lot of those figures defined yours too. Welcome to the channel Revamp, everybody. My name is Shay, and this is Body Slam Toys, an action figure channel to capture my journey as I grow an online action figure store. So by the way, stop by, check out Body Slam Toys, you won't regret it. So I have my top 10 list, and it wasn't as easy as I thought, and because of that, I must share a few honorable mentions, right? Nah, a top 10 is a top 10, not like you want to be here all day anyways. Or do you? Don't answer that. Number 10 is Ronin Warriors. You cannot tell me that action figures with full removable armor is not the coolest thing in the world, because I thought it was. And at that point in my life, I knew hardly anything about Japanese anime. Even though there was only a single wave of Ronin Warrior figures, I still remember them like it was yesterday. Sage was my favorite because he wasn't a main guy, and that's something you're going to notice with me in action figure lines, is I typically don't like the main character, and that's the theme you're going to see soon enough. And oddly enough, I never owned any villains. I usually had the heroes fighting my Marvel villains. Weird? Maybe. Number 9 is Gargoyles. Look, maybe I'm a little biased, but 90s cartoons will forever be the golden age of cartoons. Sorry, 80s babies. Gargoyles was one of those awesome cartoons, and of course they had awesome figures. Once again, my favorite was Lexington because he was not the main character. But what I really liked about Gargoyles was how different they were from the normal toys that I had at the time. Having a bunch of like human heroes and fighters was cool, but to have the Gargoyles swoop down from the sky, you know, take a villain, dunk him in the sink or the bathtub was cool, because, you know, it was cool to drop toys in the tub and the water as kids. And they weren't the best articulation-wise, but they were still very cool, and we're looking forward to some new ones in 2022. Aren't these great times? Number 8 is Beetleborgs. Big, bad Beetleborgs had everything I wanted in toys. They had cool heroes, they had weapons, they had vehicles, and they had silly villains that I could laugh at, right? There were a few Beetleborgs toys between the regular line, and then they had a Metallics line. The thing that pulled me to Beetleborgs was, of course, the TV show that I watched weekly, but also they were fully armored with a nice shiny finish, which gave me a nice futuristic feel. And me being a kid of the millennium, you know, I wanted everything. I wanted the Hillhurst playset, but had zero interest in any of the monsters or any of the villains, which is also a theme, it seems like. I was more interested in just having the heroes and creating my own type of makeshift Infinity Wars with the Beetleborgs and other things, and my Marvels and my DCs. Beetleborgs were oftentimes the first line of defense, though. Sorry, Beetleborgs. Number 7 is VR Troopers. From Beetleborgs to VR Troopers, aren't these like sister shows or something? Anyway, VR Troopers was truly a show that gave us a glimpse of what the future could be. Years later, I see that it was also a Japanese show that was dubbed over and reused, like Ronin Warriors and Beetleborgs before it. My older cousin's to blame for me liking VR Troopers. Watching much of what he watched as an older kid, of course I wanted to watch those cartoons. And it was truly futuristic and state-of-the-art, right? I mean, it had virtual reality in the name. What more could you ask for? Like, the figure themselves, they were okay. Nothing overly special, but you could sell me anything from a Saban show at that point. My favorite figure was the Deluxe Orion Steel, because he had the regular armor, it was etched in gold, and he also had the orange eyes. So epic for me at the time. And for some reason, I remember having a battle on the playground and Steel was my main hero, which is interesting because I couldn't imagine my kids taking their toys that far away from home. I mean, if I had kids. I don't. Number 6 is Batman. I feel as if Batman is on every kid's list growing up in the 90s. I mean, right? I mean, having Batman the animated series on TV was a freaking joy. And I personally wasn't the biggest Batman fan as a kid, but my cousin was, of course, and he had everything. Everything. Spending countless hours in the Batcave just fills a large portion of my childhood memories. And looking back, I believe Batman has the coolest superhero toys, especially during the Batman Forever era, like the Kenner, like Wayne Manor Batcave that unfolded into 3 parts, the Batman Forever Batmobile, and the triple action vehicle set that included the Batmobile and the boat and the Batwing. Just insane. And for some reason, those figures stand out in my head. And I also remember like the deluxe Batman with the like cloth wings, Manta Ray Batman, and he goes underwater, and just great toys, just cool days. Number 5 is Spiderman. All right, I'm gonna say it right now. Battle Ravaged Spider-Man is the absolute best Spider-Man figure of my childhood. Just another amazing cartoon, 90s cartoons, amazing action figure line, just so many options. And I wanted the Daily Bugle's playset so badly as a kid, but rarely did I ever get playsets because they took up so much space in the house. But this is one of the first action figure lines where I actually had villains, which was a true indicator, guys, that I was really into the toys. Even with villains like Vulture, Venom, Carnage. As a kid, my favorite was Scorpion, actually. And he was at the center of all my battles. Him and another one of my favorite Marvel villains. I wonder who that is. Number 4 is the X-Men. Even as an adult today, the X-Men is still my favorite cartoon from the 90s. There was just something about having a large team of heroes who were banded together because of their differences to save mankind. Now, the movies weren't spectacular. The older ones were good. The newer ones are like, but I'm still holding out hope that they will get better. My favorite X-Men is Gambit and Rogue. Figures from the Uncanny X-Men. I still remember Rogue's belt being loose on her waist, which I thought was cool. Like, I guess it meant she had attitude. And I think I had more villains than heroes because I just thought they were so awesome. Like the Sentinel, I remember I had Apocalypse, I had Omega Red, and my all-time favorite, Mr. Sinister. Mr. Sinister and the Scorpion were at the center of every issue that I had between my figures, right? And none of my friends had the X-Wing, surprisingly. And I'd still buy one today if I saw one on the shelf at a vintage toy store. Ooh, I wanted that thing so bad. Number 3 is Transformers. Robots in Disguise is the best tagline ever. Nothing will ever top it. I missed most of the original cartoon as a kid. I came along during the G2 generation or Generation 2, whatever you call it, with most of the repainted models. Space Case was the first toy I owned from Transformers. And because we liked jets, me and my cousin continued to collect more of the jets as opposed to the vehicles. And while Transformers didn't leave a lasting impression on me cartoon-wise, the ability to transform from a vehicle to a robot was unmatched. It felt like I had 2 toys in one. And as I grew older, Beast Wars is where I really got into it. One Christmas I woke up, so many figures. I mean, Drill Bit, and I had Razor Claw, I had Cheetor, I had Dinobot, I had Optimus, I had Megatron, and a bunch of other ones. But man, Beast Wars was freaking awesome. Number 2 is Power Rangers. For as many Transformers as I had as a kid, I had a crap ton more Power Rangers. The sheer amount of toys that were released in the first 5 years of Power Rangers alone is just head spinning. And I had so much of it. Like, between my cousin and I, we had almost every Zord. I know he had the Red Dragon Zord, and I had the remaining 4, so we had to get along on any given day. Otherwise, we would keep our toys away from each other, and we couldn't complete the Thunder Megazord. I had the White Tiger Zord. He hated the fact that I had it. I even had Serpentera. And outside of the general Zords, the ones that always eluded us were the Green Dragon Megazord, Titanus, and the Carrier Zord from Zeo. But between figures, villains, weapons, vehicles, like, my house was definitely a Power Ranger house. But not quite the top figure line. But you guys probably know what that is already, don't you? Number 1 is WWF WWE wrestling figures. I mean, take a look behind me, guys. This entire wall and this entire room is filled with wrestling figures. The one constant that has remained since my childhood is wrestling figures. Oh yeah. When I grew away from superheroes, I transitioned to wrestling figures, and if there's anything that I know like the back of my hand, it's wrestling figures. And going into a Toys R Us or a KB Toys and seeing an entire wall of WWF figures was such a great feeling, and one that I hope to maybe recreate one day. From classic Jakks with the Titantron Lives, different rings and play sets and backstage setups and elites and ultimates and everything in between. Wrestling figures are my thing and have been for nearly 25 years. And those are the top 10 figure lines that define my childhood. I would love to know what yours are. And I really do need to get back into superheroes. And with my store and this channel, you're going to begin to see some changes on the walls behind me. Slowly seeing some different types of figures, more open figures, and more videos like this are on the way. Did I miss any cool figure lines? TMNT. Let me know in the comments below. I want to know what you think, and I also want to know what your favorite figure lines are from your childhood. So drop a like and follow Body Slam Toys on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. What was that? Anyway, drop a follow and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys on the next video. This is Shay, and that is it for today.